Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Chris Chan article where we are going to continue Chris's foray into his very confused and misguided approach to business. So, let's do business and talk about Chris's issues with copyright today. Anyone using my characters and or without my consent are criminals, and such people should be reported to the police immediately. Shouldn't Chris be the one reporting them to the police about this? Also, technically, what are they going to do? Because the second they bring this to court, they're going to look at this and basically judge it right there and then, because what grounds does Chris have? Well, we're about to explain that in a second. As with many things, Chris has a very limited understanding of copyright and how it's enforced. He is vaguely aware of what it is, some sort of legal right that creators of things have that lets these creators to tell others what they can and cannot do. A very naive view, though not entirely incorrect. And we can see here from the Virginia Library of Congress his certificate of registration. This certificate, issued under the seal of the Copyright Office in accordance with the Title 17 United States Code, attests that registration has been made for the work identified below. The information on the certificate has been made a part of the Copyright Office records. Registration number Virginia U1000999. Effective date of registration September 8th, 2009. As this Maybeth Gates, I think so. Register of Copyrights, United States of America. Title of work, Sonichu. Completion, publication, year of completion, 2000. Author, Christian Weston Chandler. Author created 2D artwork. Work made for hire, yes. Citizen of United States, 82. Anyway, there we go. That's basically his copyright. And it also has, I think, his phone number on it. His old phone number, anyway. Chris telling some stupid troll corporate lawyers that he owns the rights to Sonichu. He is trying to sell this image for money as well, so... Sonichu as a copyrightable work. Chris really only had one first-hand experience on the copyright questions that formed the basis of everything that followed. While working on a school project that required making a CD cover, his teacher successfully explained to him that Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu are characters created by others, and he has no right to use them and has to create something original instead. Chris reacted to this by creating an original combination of the two characters, and thus Sonichu was born. In the father call, he also says the teacher told him he had been in the clear with the beginning as far as copyright is concerned. However, the fact that the teacher unwisely accepted Sonichu as original cemented Chris's vague understanding of the law, and now Chris is simply unwilling to learn the truth. In his mind, mashing together two different characters, aka and a little C in a circle and his John Hancock, whatever the hell he really means by that, creates completely new intellectual property that is his and his alone. In reality, any work that uses previously copyrighted work as a basis is a derivative work. This means that while it may have been substantial original elements that the creator definitely holds a copyright on, it cannot be published or distributed without permission of the original copyright holders. The reality isn't entirely clear-cut, however, and there are several exceptions to this rule, both well understood fair use doctrine, which allows limited use of copyrighted material for journalistic and scholarly purposes, and less well understood. There's an ongoing debate about the emerging copyright issues like digital rights and the remixing arts. I agree. I've had dabbled in both of those many, many times before. Too many crooks, he says. I always keep an eyes open for crooks who take my Electric Hedgehog's Pokemon and put it in offensive use. Well, in that same vein, we can also say that Chris is putting the art world in offensive use because, well, who poses like this anyway? Look, here's how Chris designs himself to look. We're doing this. Ready? Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll enlarge this image. Just That's what it looks like. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll do one better. I always keep my eyes open for crooks who take my Electric Hedgehog Pokemon's name and put it in offensive use. That's what he looks when he does that. Anyway, unfortunately for Chris, Sonichu is a fairly clear-cut case of a derivative work. While the character design itself has some originality despite its blatantly derivative style, and as such might have passed the teacher's inspection. As far as backstory is concerned, Sonichu explicitly said to be a fusion of two existing characters, by Chris and its creator and in the comic story itself. Fundamentally, Chris wanted Electric Hedgehog Pokemon. If they are just some made-up characters and not Pokemon, they just aren't true enough for him. Unfortunately, Chris doesn't add that such made-up characters are how people define creativity. Chris had elected to merely ape Sonic art style and plot elements from the video games. He might have something that is borderline acceptable and could avoid legal prosecution. However, the Sonichu comic makes copious usage of things from the Sonic and Pokemon franchises, as well as myriad others, meaning anything Chris does to profit from Sonichu renders him liable to be sued. This would be harmless enough if he weren't actually profiteering from it, but for 2 years he was, and if any of the franchises he has plagiarized from any decided to pursue legal action, Chris would have been torn to shreds in court. Fortunately for Chris, an autistic moron hooking products on Etsy was unlikely to incur the wrath of a major multinational company. Two, as a matter of fact. The worst he's likely to receive is a cessation demand, which I think is kind of like a cease and desist, I think. Ban from Lulu. Chris was banned from self-publishing site Lulu in December 2015, since the staff recognized that Sonichu is a piece of fan fiction. The sting of an actual business calling him out on the truth seemed to finally impress upon him the impossibility of defending Sonichu as an original work. More than a year after the ban, Chris continued to scapegoat Lulu to explain why he was unwilling to work on the comic he had been paid over $1,000 to do, saying in January 2017 that the pester of legality questions and disputings in my creations and work is the biggest reason that caused him to have an inability to feel like drawing and writing the stories, aka he couldn't give two shits. Chris as an enforcer of rights. Oh boy. Those words just send almost a chill from my bones. Chris is very paranoid regarding his copyright and will frequently hand out all of his personal information to complete strangers if he thinks it is being contested. This has backfired in a number of ways. No surprise there. Chris has encouraged people to report copyright infringements to the police. The police, unfortunately, can't do much when random citizens report civil offences such as copyright infringement. Even if Chris had the rights to the works in question, suing people for copyright infringement would be Chris's job and his job alone, or that of a representative whom he has specifically appointed to that specific task. Unsurprisingly, Chris is a total hypocrite when it comes to abusing the work of other creators. In the space of 13.5 issues, Chris pulled characters and concepts from innumerable franchises, and even went so as far as to steal original characters from fans and sweethearts, with little respect shown to their creators. He's even had the balls to take another creator's characters, alter them, and demand that thenceforth they be portrayed the way he was made for them in the original material. Try and work that out. Despite how firmly Chris holds on to his views of copyright, when directly challenged on why it's okay for him to rip things off and not for other people to do the same to Sonichu, he's unable to think of a response because there wasn't any. Furthermore, Chris refused to listen to the original creators of these original characters when they asked to have the original characters removed. The best example would be the fight between Evan and Chris over the character Simona Rosechew, a rip-off of Evan's original character, Simonchu. When Evan demanded that Chris remove Simona from the comics is an on-page death. Chris refused this because it would take Wild Sonichu's girlfriend away, because Chris really does believe that fictional comic book characters are real people. As time went on, Chris fought tooth and nail to keep Simona in, going so far as to write out a scenario where Simunchu is told to tell Evan that Simona likes Quickville. In the end, it took 2 shutdowns of the Wikipedia for Chris to finally surrender and kill off Simona. And he just resurrected her a few years later anyway. So go ahead, Evan Christopher George, please do the honors and take Chris to court. Licensing and terms of use. The MediaWiki software used on Wikipedia had various built-in settings for content licensing. During installation, MediaWiki defaults to GNU Free Documentation License, which states that the content can be reused elsewhere for any purpose, as long as proper copyright holder attribution and license references are given. On the 6th of September 2009, a fan wrote to Chris and thanked him for allowing this reuse, which provoked an uncharacteristically swift response from Chris, demanding WikiSysOp not so polite to remove this obvious erroneous GUFDL license. This prompted Chris to write his own copyrights and terms of use pages. The legal problems caused by Chris's terms are detailed elsewhere in this article. The terms of use are even weirder. Any and all visible, grotesque, shocking, and offensive works will be immediately deleted and not be uploaded, or seen ever again. No resubmissions allowed of such pieces. All letters addressed to any name other than Christian Weston Chandler or Christopher Weston Chandler will be immediately disposed of with paper recycling, or be returned to sender with a frown face on it. All visually grotesque, shocking, and offensive artworks and letters will be disposed of properly as well. Fan sites should be pre-approved by Chris. Why? Sending spam to Sega and Nintendo about making Sonichu official games is apparently part of terms of use. Somehow. Copyright registration. It appears that Chris has actually paid $45 and somehow got Sonichu approved by the United States Copyright Office. On the 12th of November 2009, he also posted a scan of the confirmation letter he received to Wikipedia, and posted a highly predictable "my heart level just went up to 100% again" video. Psychologically, this copyright registration represents a big win for Chris, because it gives him what he thinks are bragging rights, even though he has no idea what the copyright registration actually means. Copyright registration isn't an official recognition of copyright. However, copyrights are granted automatically, and copyright registrations are only an official assertion that a specific work has been created at a specific date by the restraint. The registrations are only needed when using another party for copyright infringement. It is also not registration of a trademark. Chris has no special rights for the name Sonichu itself. Finally, Chris made a critical mistake in filling the registration application. He described Sonichu as a work for hire, in the apparent belief that this meant the comic was his primary occupation, when it really means that he created it on behalf of someone else, who was considered the creator for legal purposes. It should also be noted that the United States Copyright Office does not check whether or not a registrant's work is infringing. Exactly, so Nintendo as well as Sega could still hold Chris accountable, because there would be nothing that the Virginia Library of Congress can do, apart from maybe take Congress to court in the Supreme Court, for example, and ask about this issue. If Nintendo or Sega were to sue Chris, they would easily win. It's clear that they hold the rights to original characters like Sonic and Pikachu, and Chris's work is a derivative thereof. In short, Chris's copyright registration doesn't mean his comics aren't non-infringing, nor does it effectively protect his own intellectual property. Use of, well, basically that means that Chris is completely screwed in any legal battles. Use of copyright notices. The way Chris maintains his so-called copyrights within his works is also baffling. It's possible he gets by the assumption that almost everything he draws must contain copious copyright notices, usually in a large disclaimer. Circa Christian Weston Chandler, March 2002. Fuck knows. It's worth noting that Chris obviously signs with his name on all of his individual works. This includes copyright symbols in pictures he draws of Sonichu, including a picture he drew in the snow in his Holiday Greetings video, and a doodle he drew on his ticket to the 2005 Anime Mid-Atlantic Convention. However, only daily newspaper comic strips have constant notices reminding about public copyright due to their daily nature. In most forms of media throughout the world, one copyright notice at the beginning of the work is enough to assert rights, and only there is noted in a copyright notice. Finally, the year of the creation of the specific work in question should be noted in the copyright notice. For example, Sonichu issue 10 should be circa 2009 to 2010 quick. If Chris would want to specifically emphasize that Sonichu in general has existed since March 2000, he need to do so in addition copyright notice, e.g. Sonichu issue 10, copyright 2009 to 2010 quick. Sonichu creator at quick March 2000. That seems, well, there you are, Chris. If Chris ever decided to want to draw comic books again, he probably won't. Well, they should at least notice that they did him a favor in doing this, in a sense. Christians on the lookout. Long before his discovery by the trolls, Chris created a webpage called Christians on the Lookout, which linked to his main Sonichu site. Chris made the site no later than May of 2006. Exactly how he used the site is not clear, especially since his main site did not link to this page. Chris's paranoia and arrogance regarding his copyright are on full display here. A message for all who out to see the Sonichu name. To use the Sonichu name, I should say. From Christian Weston Chandler, original creator of Sonichu and related characters and materials. I just want to inform all persons, fans of Sonichu or otherwise, that Sonichu was originally created on March 17th, 2000, and I have a copyright on my faithful Electric Hedgehog Pokemon. I am very proud to share my Sonichu with the people who appreciate my creativity in Sonichu's world. I often do a search of Sonichu and I only want to see links to my Sonichu site or related sites. If I see links to websites with any person who has used his name, I will view it. If I should see Sonichu name used to describe any character other than my own original Electric Hedgehog Pokemon, I will send you an email to inform you have intruded into copyrighted territory. So it's actually kind of funny him saying stuff like that. And request that you remove the name from your website or form entry and change it to something else. If, however, you do not abide to the request or not reply to the email within 14 days, I may take legal action against you. I am not a mean person, and I am not out to start any trouble, so please do not use the Sonichu name in vain. If, however, you would like to create a fan website to describe my Electric Hedgehog Pokemon, please send me an email to quicksonichu@aol.com with information and link about your fan site. I will view your fan site, and if I like it, Christian Weston Chandler will send you an approval email. Oh good, we need Chris's approval. What a wonderful thing for him to do. And you may keep your website up on the web. If I find it offensive, I, Christian Weston Chandler, will send you an email asking you to either change the content to something else or remove the website from the web. Not too sure how he can have the jurisdiction to do that, but... Also, if you would like to see Sonichu as a real video game or catch him in a Pokemon title, please send your request to Nintendo of America Incorporated or Nintendo Power Magazine. Raise the hype on Sonichu so that I will be able to legally talk to the people of Nintendo and America Incorporated and make a deal. Sonichu and I, Christian Weston Chandler, thank you for following the legal guidelines expressed here. I sincerely hope that you enjoy the stories of my Electric Hedgehog Pokemon, and I also hope that you will voice your hype and interest about Sonichu and my world of Quickville, of Nintendo of America Incorporated, so Sonichu can become a video game, cartoon, or anime, and all that other neat stuff. Have a zapping day. This message has been brought to you by Christian Wester Chandler, original creator of Sonichu. All Sonichu material is copyrighted March 2000-2005 by Christian Wester Chandler. Thank you. He forgot to put a full stop there, so basically this sentence goes on forever. Chris's motivations. In any case, Chris doesn't really care so much what his copyright registration means and what it might or might not be good for. Practically speaking, to him, it's mainly just a crutch for his ego. In the aftermath of his feud with Liquid Chris, he sees it as the final and clinching proof that he himself is the true and original creator of Sonichu. On the 26th of November, he posted the following as part of an announcement on Wikipedia, which is quite illuminating. Also, I have been thinking, although all Sonichu merchandise sold online in the past, and I have labelled false, I did that. Because it came as a surprise to me then, I felt outraged appropriately. Most everyone can relate to that. It's comparable to if Godzilla or Clover, the Cloverfield monster, came to your metropolis and suddenly attacked your city. Most level-headed people, I'd imagine, would stop reading up until that point. I realise now that even though it is still considerably not official, it all still is an homage to my creation, so I will make it clear to all those vendors. As long as it is not printed copies of my books pages or bootlegged copies of my Christian Weston Chandler, Yep, I'm on TV DVD, and as long as I am quoted on all websites and vendors, locations as original creator of Sonichu, Rosechu, Quickville, and all such, I, Christian Weston Chandler, approve of such merchandise from day forward, at least to give you all my patient, loyal fans and trolls something to quell your palates, circa until official merchandise is sold in official stores such as Toys R Us, GameStop, Best Buy, Walmart, etc. and such. I have spoken, and I wish everyone a safe and happy Thanksgiving. I bet somebody else would also reply, no. In other words, Chris doesn't really care if other people use his supposed intellectual property, so long as he's the one that gets the credit for it, not some imposter in brown stripes. The idea expressed here is not unlike that in the Creative Commons Attribution License. Patreon leaks. Since Chris began using Patreon for donations, mostly in exchange for his continued work on Sonichu issue 11 and beyond, he has had, for the first time, an actual financial incentive to enforce copyright of his work. Chris announced that he would initially release Sonichu 11 only to Patreon supporters, and this plan seemed to go off without a hitch until several patrons leaked the exclusive pages that Chris had released so far, then notified Chris in his YouTube comments. Chris took swift action to protect his only source of income besides his monthly tugboat. In C-Log 14/6/2007, Chris begins by denouncing the leakers and comparing their actions, leaking the comic pages early, to the physical theft of purses and cell phones. However, Chris's copyright continues to be completely unenforceable, and it is almost certain that the future Patreon pages will be leaked as well, if you can even call those pages. Interestingly, Chris's intentions to keep future Sonichu pages exclusive to his patrons could be considered a form of fraud, as DStex already paid Chris $1,000 in September 2015 to make 100 pages of Sonichu, which, according to Chris's page count estimate in C-Log 23/6/2017, would cover the vast majority of the volume to be released. Chris's views. Main article, parody. Chris is very protective of his characters, as proven by this article, except sometimes. Chris believes that his characters are official parodies. Thus, he is allowed to create his multimedia empire on a legal loophole. What Chris fails to realize is that parodies are essentially mockeries of something they're based on, done for laughs or as a commentary on the original work. According to the US Supreme Court, parody is the use of some elements of a prior author's composition to create a new one that, at least in part, comments on the author's works. So if Chris was, say, making commentary on commercialization by making a pastiche of what was proper at the time, it would be fine. The fact that it is not parody and not plagiarism must be made obvious. Sonichu and Rosechew are not parodies, just shitty recolors. Chris doesn't mean to make fun of the characters they're based on, nor make commentary of them. He slavishly imitates the kind of adventures they have in an attempt to tell his own stories. Even his most original characters are either based on someone he knows or are cribbled extensive from existing characters. Chris plans for Sonichu 13 to be a crossover between his comic universe and the characters of the popular Planet Dolan YouTube channel, much like Nintendo and formerly Sega. The producers of the channel likely have never heard of Sonichu, much less gave Chris permission to use their characters. Assuming Chris actually makes issue 13, Chris will likely offer a similar parody, defense to his direct use of someone else's intellectual property. This is no longer the case, as Chris has been blocked by pretty much all of the Planet Dolan cast. In his disclaimer at the beginning of Sonichu number 16, Chris revealed a new outlook on copyright law, made even more incoherent by the influence of the Idea Guys and his crumbling sense of reality. Despite what the words legalities are, all of the events in this book has happened not only in Quickville and Equestria and Canterlot High School, but everywhere else in that same dimension where all of our fictional characters and individuals do exist and coexist. So events where Bowser, Dr. Eggman, and even Voldemort work together for a common goal of overtaking lands and worlds. That can happen. So in a passive-aggressive statement and a fair and just warning, I say to those fat cat legal people of this world, anything is possible. Oh, I bet. And when all of those evils attempt something in this world and someone writes and draws every single detail about it, chronicling it all, do not even encourage copyright trademark lawsuits at all. It'd be interesting to see if, oh god, like Nintendo or Sega coming up and Chris standing in court and saying that he is a chronicler, and he might have to make another visit to Region 10. Music. Many of Chris's songs from his old Christian and the Hedgehog Boys project have been taken down on YouTube for copyright. If Chris knew this, he would likely argue that his songs are parodies and thus fair use. The problem, again, is that Chris's songs aren't parodies, nor are they reviewing the said songs, nor are they just covers with an instrumental version of the original song playing in the background. Just like how Sonichu and Rosechew are recolors and not parodies. Chris's songs are just rewrites of the originals, with said original drowning out most of his voice. Even if Chris's songs were legitimate parodies, he would still need to create his own instrumental, since the song recording itself is copyrighted. Most professional parody artists, including Weird Al, hire backing bands. Weird Al also asks the original artist for their permission, because simply changing the words to a song doesn't make it a legitimate parody. There has to be some kind of criticism involved, and singing about food or boyfriend-free girls doesn't criticize the song itself. Words alone don't define copyright, and changing them will get you out of a music plagiarism lawsuit. Will not get you out of it. Fan art. Chris believes that he has the right to use any fan art depicting a Sonichu character for his own purposes. A key example is his banner for his Patreon, and YouTube, which uses another person's fan art of Sonichu and Rosechew, even though the accounts are meant to showcase his own work, and he has not given credit to the original artist, because why would he? When a fan pointed out that he was plagiarizing the work for himself, Chris replied, "It's a lovely piece of art, and I am not stealing it. I am using it in full appreciation of the artist that drew it, as much as possible. And it doesn't matter, it has Sonichu and Rosechew. They both, all the others, and the city of Quickville are mine regardless." Wow, so Chris is now apparently an art thief. Superb. Also, if you want to see the banner for himself, I believe it's meant to be on his Patreon. I don't know what that's meant to be. This here, for example, is what Chris fails to give any recognition towards. And okay, I think that's just about everything there. Not any more drawings, so okay, I suppose that's that, as they say, is that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Chris and copyright. Chris seems to think that, well, basically he has the rights to everything that so much depicts his characters, and Chris, if he were ever taken to court, would have his ass handed to him. I think it's fair to say that that's that, and Chris's understanding of the law regarding copyright is so tenuous that I reckon if anybody tells him that he is not 100% responsible, he will throw a tantrum and say otherwise. Because Chris obviously, he'll never grow to ever. If there's one thing you can guarantee Chris will never do, is ever accept that Sonichu or Roastu are in any way, just blatant rip-offs and are doomed to fail. That's the one thing Chris, all of his life, will never come himself to believe is real. That is sad in a way, but then again, this is the real world. And things like this happen in the real world. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this reading of Chris and copyright, courtesy of the Quickie. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of the article for yourselves. Please make sure to also like and subscribe to get daily notifications when my videos come out. And I hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.